Hello everybody, welcome to my 91st VBA 2010 tutorial. And this tutorial is going to show you how to use SQL parameters to overcome the kind of SQL insertion that we got in the previous tutorial. Note that the one I used in the previous tutorial is just an example of one of many different types of insertion there are. You can use it to get all of the records that you want in a table, you can use it to drop records in tables, you can completely corrupt people's data with it. So I'm going to show you how you can avoid people doing it. And the way to do it is to add parameters into your queries so that the input that users input isn't treated as SQL ever. So I'm going to take the code that I had before, so just putting in a user ID and then printing out all the information onto our workbook. Let me just clear it off, and then I'm going to just change it. So first of all, I'm going to create a couple more objects. So I'm going to dim a CMD as object, and they're going to be active data objects similarly to the record set and the connection. So I'm just going to put them as objects, and I'm going to put param1 as object, and then let's create these now. So just create the command object. I'm going to create it underneath my call connect database. So set cmd equals create object, so same way we do for record sets, and then ADODB dot command close brackets, and we're going to leave our parameter for now because we're going to want to use that later on. Now I'm going to skip to our record set because we're no longer going to want to run this SQL string down here. So I'm going to get rid of those parameters, and I'm just going to pass it the command object, because the command object is going to control what our record set wants to open. So notice how we also get rid of the database connection down here. So we're going to add the database connection instead to our command object. So active connection equals dbcon, and what this is going to do is, let's put a capital in there, what this is going to do is it's going to link our command object to our global database connection object that we get from our connect database module. We're then going to create our SQL string we're going to put it into our command as well. So command text equals and then SQL string, and that's just going to tell it to use our SQL as our SQL command. And we're going to need to edit this slightly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this input box out, and I'm going to assign it to a variable to be used later. So dim user ID as string, and user ID equals please advise user ID. Then I'm going to delete all of this here, and I'm going to put user ID equals to @user ID. And what the @ sign does is it signals to our SQL that we're creating a parameter, similar to how you use a $sign in PHP. So we can put in as many of these as we'd like, and we're going to add them as parameters later on in our code. So that's what this parameter object's for. So user ID is going to match with this parameter object. So I'm actually going to rename this to parameter user ID. So down here, so we've now created our command object, given it the connection to the database, and also given it our standard SQL query with our parameter. So now we need to create our parameter. So we're going to do cmd dot we're going to do param user ID equals, and then command dot create parameter. And then this will let us create our parameter. And to do this, we're just going to put in 5 different fields in or parameters into our function for create parameter. So the first one is the name, so that's got to be the same as what we've used up here, so user ID. And then we want to add in a data type, and I've got a list of these that we'll use that will come on to the next tutorial when I show you how to use different data types. For now I'm going to use 129, which is a string of text, and then the third one we want to put in a number 1, and this just signifies that it's input, and then we're always going to use the number 1 really for these type of parameters. So just always put in 1 there, and then finally we're going to put in a size for how much text we can put in this parameter. So I'm going to max it off at 52, and then comma, and then we want to put in our value for that parameter. So I'm going to put in user ID, which is what we got earlier from our input box. So just remember that 129 is a data type string, and I'll provide a list of them in the different data types in a separate module somewhere down here that I haven't done yet. And I'll go over some more data types in the next tutorial other than just strings. We're then going to append this parameter onto our command object. So we just want to do command.parameters.append, and then param user ID. And that's just going to replace our user ID in here with whatever the value is here. What it's going to do is, rather than treating it as text that's just going into our SQL command, it knows that it's a field, so it's going to insert all of whatever we put in here into that text. So now when we run our object, it's not going to use that OR as SQL, it's just going to paste it into our field. And then that's it for how you do parameters. So let's just test it out. So press play. I'll try it with Matthew, and it's going to say object or variable not set, so let us just test where that's going wrong. F8, and let's skip over that one, and then and it doesn't like that, and it's because you need to put a set in there. So play Matthew, play, and now it brings through my user ID. But if I try and put in the same information that I did before, so let's press play and put in our h dash or h equals h, and it's just not going to bring through any data at all, because it's trying to search for actually what I typed rather than treating the or h equals h as a command. So that is how you use your parameters. They're a little bit more complicated but a lot safer to use, and once you get used to them, they're actually really easy to use. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial I'm going to show you how you use different data types in your parameters. So thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you soon.